All right, so what we're going to do now is focus on what's called the hero section. So a hero section, if you're unaware, is the portion in a design or usually a website or a web app. When you first land on the home page or a landing page, for instance, you'll see just an area that's probably around this large. It's usually very simplistic. It has a title, subtitle usually, and a call to action button. And the background is either a solid color, some type of graphic or vector design, or an actual photograph that's just kind of laid there in the background that doesn't contrast too much with the text that's in front. So once again, we'll go ahead back to our Balma. And if we click on layout and we click on hero, there is a hero class section, and it's basically designated by a section tag in here with class of hero and then other supporting classes. And if we scroll down, we'll see there's a lot of different examples of how you can structure. This is a very minimalistic, kind of very not tall version of a hero section. And then we come down here and we'll have more. You can work in gradients real easily, as we could see right here. And we'll probably be using a section right here in terms of aesthetics. It's not going to be blue. Actually, we're going to use a photograph, but we'll have a title, subtitle, and also a call to action button. Okay, so let's go ahead back. And what we want to do, like I mentioned before, we're going to have a photograph background for this. But first, we need a container to place that into, and that's how Adobe XD basically works. Kind of works like a clipping mask. So if we just left click, starting right underneath that nav, probably somewhere right around here will work well, and then just let go. The color doesn't matter. It's going to be completely hidden based on the photograph we're about to place into it. So for this step, we want to make sure it's still selected, and I want you to download the project files, and inside of the project files in the M2 section, you will find a clouds.jpg file. So just to show you, here it is, clouds.jpg. We left click and just drag it right there. Close this out, and there we go. Very simple, as you can see. So let's get our layers, and we can see it's kind of going over our grid. So we'll go ahead and right click this. We select this, right click, and we'll choose arrange and bring forward. It's currently showing up off of my screen, unfortunately, the way I have my recording set up. But if you just come down all the way here, you'll see arrange, and then you want to send or bring to front rather. There we go. All right, great. So again, we'll be toggling this on and off. In terms of opacity, let's bring this down just a bit so we can kind of see what's happening. Okay. And by the way, I chose to reorder it that way because right now, currently, I don't know why they wouldn't include this yet. Because this is beta for Adobe XD, you can't actually drag layers at all. So you can't reorder them. Okay, so now what we want to do is add our type. So now we're kind of getting to the part where we kind of have to pay attention to these grids and just to make sure everything's lined up, you know, especially at the beginning of the layout. And also in terms of how wide we want certain elements to be or to extend across. Do we want to extend across all 12 of these columns, or maybe just, you know, maybe to 6 or 7? So we'll get into that just shortly. So what we want to do now is take our type tool. We'll go ahead and hide that real quickly. I'm going to zoom up with the Alt scroll wheel, and we're just going to left click right around here. We want to give ourselves a lot of margin and padding, especially for a hero section, because when you get things crammed up real close together, it just completely throws off the entire flow and the aesthetic of the design. So we're going to give ourselves a decent amount of space. So soaring to new heights is going to be my headline there. So let's go ahead and increase that quite substantially. I'll say maybe right around 67. We'll make it black. All right. Now let's also go ahead and create a subtitle or subheading. So this time I'm going to left click and we're going to drag it out to approximately, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. So 9 columns long, which ends just after features right here. So left click and drag out right here. All right, great. So the size of this, of course, is going to be quite a bit less. I'm going to just put 33 for now, although it may change. Although, for some reason, it's not taking. Let me just do this. There we go. It updates after you select off of it. All right, so I'm just going to put in some lorem ipsum text. You can go to lipsum.com and just copy and paste some of it. And this is all I'm going to use for now. All right, so let's bring things down just a little bit. Notice how we have 166 at the top. It's just on the very left in pink. It might be hard to see. When it comes to designing like this, you also want to make sure at the bottom of your element right here, there's also about 166 or even amount of white space between these edges. And that just helps the aesthetics and the flow of your design. And it helps things just look a lot better when you have things that are consistent. Okay. So now we're also going to have a call to action button just underneath this. So we'll go ahead and actually we'll copy this one right here. So we're going to get the text and the actual button itself. So I held shift and select both of those, Control C, Control V, move it down over here. This one's not going to be hollow. We want it to really stand out because it's going to be our primary call to action. So go out around 3 columns here. We don't need a border. We do want to fill with our primary color. Now let's select the text right here. It's the same color so we can't see it, and we'll make it white. And we'll also select this and increase the size. We're going to change this though to our services. Now the way the buttons work by default in Balma, if we go back here, we'll go to Elements, Button, is they're based on the width of the text that's inside. And I believe there is a class that will allow you to extend it to 100% of the parent container. But just to make things a little bit simpler on ourselves so we don't have to add that, we're going to bring this in right around here and bring this in around the same size. So it's going to look roughly like this. All right, great. So now let's go ahead and try to give ourselves around an even or equal amount of space from the top and bottom. All right. So let's go ahead and hide this real quick and get our layers, hide the grid. All right. Do I like this? Yeah, it's not too bad. Let me zoom up just a little bit. I wish I was on a larger desktop, but this will be good for now. I think we can probably even make this bold to make it just stick out just a bit more. This call to action button could also be a little bit larger. So we'll take this text in here. We'll increase the size right around there. All right, so as you can see, it's really pretty standard right now. I'm just curious if there's a semi-light version. I kind of like that better. It creates more of a distinction and also helps reinforce what's called visual hierarchy. So your eyes are kind of really just attracted to this headline right here, and then this supporting content is a little bit more of an afterthought afterwards. All right. Okay, that's good. So that's it for this section. In the next, we're going to go ahead and focus on the other supporting content, which is secondary to the hero content down here.